African women have been really instrumental in being a strong force during the pre-colonial, colonial, and post-colonial era. They lend their voices for the advancement, development, and freedom of the African continent. They are courageous and natural leaders, and the impact they had in their countries and the African continent at large cannot be overlooked. Let's explore the amazing impacts of 5 exceptional African women. Queen Nanny of the Windward Maroons was a Jamaican political leader, military strategist, and Obeah woman. Nanny was a 17th century Maroon leader. She was renowned by both Maroons and British settlers as an accomplished military leader who became a symbol of unity and strength for her people. She was crucial during the First Maroon War from 1720 to 1739 against the British. Certain details concerning Nanny have been documented. Legends and documents praise her leadership. She had small penetrating eyes. Her influence on the Maroons was magical and was linked to her Obeah powers. She was competent at organizing the Eastern Maroon guerrilla warfare to keep British troops from overpowering them. Her effective guerrilla fighting confused the British, and their battle narratives expressed their astonishment and anxiety. Nanny was a chieftainess or wise lady of the community who passed down traditions and fostered the continuation of customs, music, and songs from Africa that installed confidence and pride in her people. Nanny's spirit of freedom was so great that in 1739, when Quao signed the second treaty with the British, the first was signed by Cudjoe for the Leeward Maroons a few months earlier. She was very angry and in disagreement with the principle of peace, which she knew meant another form of subjugation. Maroon legends surround Nanny. Some say women led the Maroons during this time. All legends and archive allude to Nanny of the First Maroon War as the most outstanding, leading her people with courage and inspiring them to fight for their deserved freedom and independence. Nana Yaa Ashantewa, the Ashanti warrior Queen Mother, liberated Ghana with her activism and military methods. Her efforts in Ghana sparked nationalist aspirations in other West African countries, leading to their independence. Ashantewa was born into Asuna royalty of Beasis clan, Ghana, in the 1840s. Nana Akwasi Afrane Okbase, the king of Eweso, appointed her Queen Mother because of Ashanti matrilineal customs. As Queen Mother, Ashantewa guarded the golden stool, an icon of the Ashanti kingdom, culture, and power. She was the king's chief counsel and presented candidates to the kingmaker. Ashanti rebelled against British expansion in the 1880s. This led to frequent confrontations between British soldiers and Ashanti warriors until 1863, when the Ashanti stormed and burned British supporting coastal communities. Then Gold Coast Governor Richard Pine retaliated. Lack of solidarity among the federating villages prevented the Ashanti from using this failure to chase out the British. The uprising stalled them. Governor Frederick Mitchell exiled the relatives of the king of Ashanti Kingdom, his family, and some chiefs. While the other chiefs debated on how to face the British and bring back their people, Ashantewa recruited 5,000 men and women to attack the British. Sir Hodgson sat on the golden stool, which the populace regarded impious. As commander-in-chief of the Ashanti army, Ashantewa commanded the Yaa Ashantewa War, or War of the Golden Stool, from March 28, 1900. Ashantewa united her people and challenged women's conventional roles during the Anglo-Ashanti War. Years after the conflict, the British couldn't recover the Golden Stool because the Ashanti buried it in a secluded forest. In 1920, construction workers uncovered it in the jungle. Ashantewa was arrested during the battle and died in Seychelles in 1921. The British released Ashanti captives in 1927 after seeing her tenacity. Also released was Ageman Pempe I. In 1928, he began attempts to exhume and return all Ashanti prisoner remains. Fumilayo Ransome Kuti, born in 1900 to a seamstress and an emancipated Sierra Leone slave, she studied in England 1919 to 1923. She liked socialism and anti-colonialism. She organized night schooling for the town's market women and elite ladies to promote cooperation. In 1944, the group helped market women whose grains were seized without compensation. She was the one who initiated the formation of the Christian Women's Organization, known as the Abeokuta Ladies Club. In 1944, the organization began welcoming market women who were illiterate, destitute, and victims of violence. In 1946, the ALC transitioned into the Abeokuta Women's Union. Ransome Kuti was in charge of the AWU up until the time of her passing. The AWU was renamed the Nigerian Women's Union in 1949, and the FNS was established in 1953 thanks to her leadership. Pricing regulations were fought against by AWU. The women's tax instituted by Salada Ademola too came under fire. The protests that the organization staged in 1947 ultimately led to Ademola's abdication in 1949. The mission of the AWU was to improve the education of women, as well as hygienic standards, medical treatments, and other social services. The mission of Ransome Kuti was to help women break free from the cycle of poverty. Miriam Makeba. In addition to her work as an activist and an artist, Miriam Makeba was a key figure in the anti-apartheid and Pan-African movements. Miriam Makeba's distinctive voice was well known, but no one can argue that she had a far greater impact on South African history than that. She became more vocal in her opposition to apartheid during her time in exile. She took advantage of her high position to speak to the United Nations about the problems that exist in South Africa. Protesting against repressive governments may be done in many different ways. She proved that there are many methods to do so through her songs and fame. Makeba's international success exposed the plight of Africans to the rest of the world. The anti-apartheid messages of Miriam Makeba's songs, tours, and concerts culminated in political protests and her anti-apartheid statements before the United Nations while she was exiled in the United States and Guinea. Makeba was a key figure in the anti-apartheid movement for more than 3 decades, awakening the consciousness of tens of thousands through her music. Every one of her accomplishments is something to be proud of, and she is no exception. Professor Wangari Maathai was a prominent environmentalist, women's rights activist, and recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize from Kenya. She is most known for her compassion and unwavering commitment to bettering the lives of the most marginalized members of society. As a means of catering to the economic and social requirements of Kenyan women who were based in rural areas at the time, Maathai established the Green Belt movement in 1977. Back then, it was called the National Council of Women of Kenya. The Green Belt movement encouraged Kenyan women to plant trees, which not only helped to recover rainwater, but also provided them with food and firewood, while also providing them with the opportunity to make some revenue. The work done by Maathai shed light on the connections that exist between poverty, the degradation of the environment, and power, which ultimately led to people demanding more accountability from their government. The fact that Maathai places such high emphasis on the significance of the environment is also illustrative of the deep historical bond that African people have maintained with the natural world. Her body of work continues to educate and motivate people involved in environmental initiatives. People's ideas about Africans in general are challenged by the lives of African women, whether they are Pan-African artists, military leaders, political activists, or environmental protectors. African women had different effects on Black history. Women like those in this video, who are often forgotten, are important to understanding how people with African roots have changed the world. Their lives show how culture influenced the activist movement. Even if African women are on the outside, their history and voices will never be silenced. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you're reminded of the gods and power of women and the importance of their impact in the society. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. Thank you, and see you next time.